I'm not an African. And all this tells me is that self-hate, self-ignorance, lack of understanding of African history and of history in general. No, we have to get our brains straight. We have to understand what being an African means. You know, you're going to give me the white slop and then give it a name like Foundation of Black America. Don't label me with slop. Now, if you use that because you're trying to find an identity, I'll help you with that. Because you deserve to have your own identity like everybody.
Yes.
But don't bring the same white slop along saying you're anti-African, you're not African, you're not from Africa. That's the white slop that they've been trying to push in our brain from day one. Throw that slop out, empty and wash your bucket, and let us bring some real black stuff up in there.
Been a thorn in our side for more than a century now.
For decades.
Yeah, and we have to contend because there's just so much confusion, right? So, but Baba, why have you? There are 4 sentiments that are often expressed by our young brothers and sisters when we engage them, our FBA family, and they are our family. And when they express them, what they'll say is, well, like Baba James, he aligns with us, but I want to share these 4 sentiments with you, and I can do it one at a time, or I can give you all 4, and I want you to be able to just
do all 4, and I can respond, because if I'm late for my sister's birthday, she's gonna kill me.
Gotcha. All right, so I'll give you all 4. I'll give you all 4. So these are 4 of the most common like anti-African sentiments we hear being expressed by some of our brothers and sisters. The first one is, Black people in America are not African and have no connection to Africa. We're Native Black Americans. That's one. The second one is, Black people in America may be genetically African, but so is the entire planet. Everybody on Earth is African. That's 2. The third one is, African people on the continent don't refer to themselves as Africans. We're the only ones who call ourselves Africans. That's 3. And the fourth one is, Black Americans are the only ones who practice Pan-Africanism. Those are the 4 most common kind of like retorts that we hear. And they always say, well, Baba James Smalls agrees with us. Like,
well, Baba James Smalls going to tell them I don't agree to none of that shit I just heard.
Yes.
So I don't understand where their brains are when they say I'm not an African. And all this tells me is that self-hate, self-ignorance, lack of understanding of African history and of history in general are what we're dealing with people who have taken some, what do you call it, clips, little sound bites from the internet, and now they've become historians and political leaders because they can get a bunch of people to, when you push the little button for them,
subscribe. Yeah.
Because I was very quiet for a while. And then I go like, I can't stay quiet. So in the last year and a half, I've just been out here trying to teach as much as I can. And people are afraid because that means you got to change your little black behind into something better than what the white man has created you to be. You're going to give me the white slop and then give it a name like Foundation of Black America. Don't label me with slop. Now, if you use that because you're trying to find an identity, I'll help you with that. Because you deserve to have your own identity like everybody.
Yes.
But don't bring the same white slop along saying you're anti-African, you're not African, you're not from Africa. That's the white slop that they've been trying to push in our brain from day one. Throw that slop out, empty and wash your bucket, and let us bring some real black stuff up in there. Let's talk about Martin Delaney. Let's talk about Booker Washington. Let's talk about Ida B. Wells. Let's talk about Harriet Tubman. Let's talk about Sojourner Truth. Go back in our history. Every organization that we formed from the 1700s forward was called the African something. Every damn one. Prince Hall.
African Masons.
Free African Lodge. 1749 or someplace up there. Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, the African Methodist Church, the Black Baptist Movement, the African Baptist Church. This is all back in the 1700s, okay? By the time we hit the 1792, Malcolm didn't invite the Afro-American nothing. In 1892, a group of Black women out of Rochester, New York, formed the Afro-American League, headed by T. Thomas Fortune, okay? We had the United African Societies. This is all in the 1800s. So they need to study some history. Yeah. We never stop identifying ourselves as Africans. Not one moment, not one day, not 1 hour.
Mm-hmm. On the Blacks going on in North America.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So now, recently, there was you were on a broadcast on a YouTube stream, and there was a dude who's kind of known in our circles as being a troll. And he gave you some he basically lied to you and gave you some misinformation about some of the stuff that we've said, and then tried to use you against me, and some of these other trolls tried to use your words against me. How do you feel about that, sir?
Right. Well, part of it is the young man, Omawale, called me yesterday. Mm-hmm. And his position, he says, I wasn't the one putting that out there like that. And I said, wait a minute. I said because, I couldn't find him. I had the name wrong. Yeah. And when I found the name in my phone, he called me just as I found the name. And he says, listen, because I did this little piece, I was trying to get it right on Twitter, mm-hmm. calling people out for doing that, because I'm saying, wait a minute, that was not what really happened. Right. Now, he did raise these things about Foundation of Black America. Mm-hmm. And I go like, these are my children, I think is the term I use, and I love them. You got to understand it. If I think my children have any issues, I'm going to argue with them to get the issues right. Right? If they made any statements wrong, then I'm not going to stab them in the back or talk to them about behind their back. I tell them my love for you, our relationship, and so forth. And whenever I have any issues, I talk to you about it. Sometimes you be quiet, sometimes you take me on, but we've never had a negative. Right, of course. You and I. Of course. And you know the things I disagree on, and they ain't really big things. That's the issue. Well, then I really argue with you about one thing, the N-word, right? Yeah. And sometimes I think you lose your temper a little bit too much on some of these Negroes who don't deserve you putting that energy on. Mm-hmm. And those have been our two issues. Yeah. And we deal with this going back. And I remember when you were having an issue, but I think we won't even call his name, but a little brother out there. Yeah. And I call you and I talked to you about it, and you squashed that. Yeah. There was an issue with some sister who was coming after you about some stuff. I called you this a couple of years ago. You squashed that. Mm-hmm. They didn't squash it, but you did. Yeah. So I have to let people understand and be clear, because I got some crazy calls from all over the world. When I was coming to Washington, you're not going there. And I said, wait a minute, I had to do almost had to do a Tariq Nasheed. I had to go off of some folks. Who the hell are you to tell me where I go, who I speak with, and why? Mm-hmm. Now, if you call me and say, Brother Small, I heard something about Tariq, is that right? I would have told you, no, that ain't right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've been misinformed. Yeah. And so when I did the show with the young people, because they'd call me, and I do a lot of shows with young people call me, and most of the times I don't know who they are beforehand, and a lot of times it's the first time. Yeah. And some have played me out of pocket, because they just want to say I got Professor Small on there and blah, 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 blah. Right. And on this show, when the issue came up, and I told them, when I want to speak to you and make a criticism, I do it to your face. Mm-hmm. I'm not a backstabber. I'm going to tell you, and I'll say right out in the public that I own it. Mm-hmm. That's how men do. Right. That's how men be. And then we had what I thought was a decent discussion with me explaining what Pan-Africanism is, explaining what Foundation of Black American is, and telling them I'm both. Mm-hmm. Because for me, Pan-Africanism is how we unite the Black people all over the world to be one force. Right. Now, we can call it Pan anything we want to, but all the Pan means is unity, nothing else. Mm-hmm. And that Foundation of Black American, that we have a right to identify ourselves in the same way any other ethnic group. And I think I used the Jamaican community. They don't call themselves African, they call themselves Jamaicans. Right, absolutely. The people from Haiti don't say I'm African, mm-hmm. They say I'm Haitian. And we find no contradiction with that. We're the only group in North America that use the term African to describe ourselves.